I feel inspired to do a little video about the masculine template. This thing I've been calling the masculine template. I haven't heard anyone else call it this. I just kind of made this up because I've been looking at it in my own life, forever. Like, as a woman and a feminine essence being, how do I relate to the masculine? Big question, huge question. Been on this road for a while. So it's like, how do I orient? This is the question to ask yourself. How do I orient toward the masculine essence? So when I say masculine or masculine leadership, what is the first thing that comes to mind for you? And if you're a feminine essence being, and one of the first things that comes to mind for you is resistance, fear of being taken from, fear of being depleted, anger, residual trauma, all of these things, all of these remnants of patriarchal culture. If that is your first orientation, or if that's like your first association toward the masculine, then guess what? Okay, that's your masculine template, but it's also how you're orienting toward life. And I know that's a really big thing to say. I get it. It's a really big thing to say, but it's true. That's how you're orienting toward life itself, because the feminine orients toward the masculine orients toward the feminine. So we have to, clean up our relationship with both of those, make them more and more conscious. But it's like with all of the efforts to increase our consciousness as women and increase our positions in society as women, our success, that kind of thing. If we're still orienting toward a masculine template that we say will, deplete us or take from us, or that we have to fight against, then we're using our energy in a really depleted way. Okay, I think I want to talk about this from kind of a different angle. So stay with me. If this is intriguing to you, stay with me. And there's a lot of work to do in this area. I understand. I'll make it personal. So recently I've been seeing, kind of through another level of personal exploration and excavation, that even though I had done so much work to increase the consciousness of how I orient toward the masculine and like what the masculine is to me, just last week in Heartland, this group that I run, we were talking about this like masculine orientation, and these light bulbs were going off for women, like, oh, I have to reclaim my relationship with the sacred masculine also. Yes, you do. Like, absolutely. So there's like women reclaiming the feminine. You also really have to reclaim your relationship to all things masculine, including the masculine divine. And really, that's your process to go through. That is not up to any man to show you, that men are safe, or that the masculine is safe. It's really up to you to like reclaim that relationship with the divine masculine. And that takes a while. It takes a while to heal your relationship with the masculine as a woman. And I've been doing this for years, and recently went through a realization that, I've been cleaning up all depletion energetics in my life, like as a woman, like making sure that my resources were replenished and regenerative rather than depleted. It's like, my life's work sometimes, it feels like, to figure this out and kind of bring it through. And what was revealed to me was that I was still holding a belief, like a trauma belief, that my resources as a woman would be depleted in relation to men and masculine. didn't realize I was still holding this like subconscious belief or this energetic imprint. Okay. And so getting to look at that and getting, to allow the story to be new. So I wanted to make another point, and I wish I had a pause button on my recorder here, because I'm just collecting my thoughts before this gets much longer. So, inner alchemy. That's the last point. That's the last topic. Inner alchemy. So the inner feminine and masculine needs to work together. Okay. And that's really ultimately, that's the path, because when we meet like the other person in relationship, we want to know this inner alchemy of inner feminine and masculine and our relationship with the feminine, masculine, divine. We want to know that for us. Okay. So some of you watching this are going to be resonating with it because you're also on a path of inner alchemy. And maybe you don't even know that you're on a path of inner alchemy, but it's like you want to figure out the healthy feminine and the healthy masculine within you. Awesome. Please do. And like, why is that? Is it so that you don't have to depend on anybody else, or, no. And that's kind of my point. It's like, it's not reactive. Okay. So much in a patriarchal culture, so much is reactive. Like, so much of how we orient toward feminine or masculine or man or woman, not the same thing, two different things, energies, genders. So much of how we orient toward man, woman, feminine, masculine, is trauma-based. Because we were in a separation matrix. We were in like a, somebody has power, somebody doesn't kind of scenario, which is totally false. But we're, still figuring that out. And we have to get these remnants of that out of our own systems. So anytime you still have an imprint of like orienting toward feminine, masculine, or woman or man, and like with a fear response, like, they're going to take something from me, I'm not going to win if I get involved with this. That is an opportunity to dance with your inner alchemy. And so bringing both of those home so that you do not project these, because I think this is what's happening. Okay, I'm just going to say it. There's so much of like, new talk about feminine, masculine, and yay, the world's waking up to it. But then there are these projections onto gender. And the projections onto gender might be like, well, the masculine's responsible for safety, or the masculine's responsible for, provision, and the feminine's responsible for nurturance. Now, I always say that the feminine masculine language is a tool, okay? And the tool is to walk us toward unity. The tool is for use toward unity and integration and alchemy. Alchemy would be when there is no, separation, but there is the reunification. Well, if there is reunification, then there can't exactly be, just separation of like the masculine's just responsible for provision or the feminine's just responsible for nurturance, right? Because even though it conceptually helps us to talk about the feminine, masculine, and like as a tool for integration, it can also get to the point where those are like, we're using those as tools for continued separation. And so if I'm a woman and I'm looking outside of myself and I'm saying, where is the man who's responsible for provision, or where is the man who's responsible for safety, I'm still looking through a trauma lens. I'm still looking through a separation, and it's still based on something that hasn't happened in the past, a trauma that I've gone through in the past, and then I'm projecting it into the future. And maybe I'm even calling it consciousness. I may be even saying like, where's the conscious masculine who's going to be responsible for provision? But it's all about inner alchemy. It's all about inner alchemy. So, you could start to ask yourself, like, what is my inner masculine doing about this? What is my inner feminine doing about this? And what is the relationship between like myself as a feminine essence being and then the masculine, divine, right? Like the masculine archetypal essence of the divine. And, and that's the walk. That's just like the continual walk. And so we just really need to be, in conclusion, we really need to be aware, continuously aware of where our orientation toward the external, like the outer man, is actually based in a perception of a previous trauma. It's like the previous trauma that we experienced, is like causing us to see outward and project outward and want proof of, safety, security, provision, all things, these like traditional masculine things. And it's like, when you're doing that, you're orienting out of trauma toward more potential trauma and separation. So inner alchemy, all the way, and bringing all of the pieces home. And when you're doing that and your partner's doing that and you're healing the projections and healing separation, then that's a whole new game. That's a whole new sovereign way of living and way of life. And so, and it actually, you get to clear the trauma imprints and the distorted imprints around, these things that you're carrying around feminine and masculine that like just don't have to be true anymore. And so I'll stop there. If you want support with any of that, you can find me at sarahpoet.com, and we are moving from those trauma imprints into the truth of who we are and walking through the inner alchemy. And I'm also in service to partnerships and relationships. And so if you're in a trauma bond and projecting a pain point onto the other person, you're not alone, but that's painful and that's old story. So you can contact me about working with couples as well. So much love. I hope this serves and sparks and ignites and, gets you curious and all of those things. And reach out if you have any questions. And so much love to you today.